Shah, it's been so long.
It has been
How long has it been?
20 years. Easy, 20 years.
I'm so happy that I got this opportunity to come and sit down with you here and talk all about what's going on in the pharma industry in India, because that is something I have not been very familiar with because I have kind of stayed in the US, but there's a lot of history we share that we're going to talk about, very exciting stuff. But you are leading the R&D at one of India's pharma companies, and so you're literally bossing very hard. And I'm so proud to call you my friend. I'm going to learn so much about you. So tell me, when you first started at Inventia, you were this young, fresh graduate. Were you a fresh graduate, or did you work somewhere else before?
I did. So I did after my BPharm in Mumbai, Kadena, one of the finest universities I can say in Mumbai. I did go to Iowa in US where I did my master's in pharmaceutics. Then I continued to do a second master's in pharmacology because the field of pharmacology really interested me. We worked there, so Ankur was also there with me. Both of us worked in two prominent organizations there. My last work was in Genentech, in the biotech field in a fabulous city, San Francisco. We had our first child, Avi, and we moved back to India. We were always sure we were coming back. Wanted to go study, get some work experience, and bring that work experience back to our family business and see how we can help the business grow. So I have always been a very geeky person, if I can say that. So I like being in the lab. I like being with my test tubes and my various experiments and see what the results look like. I like doing analytical analysis of what the data looks like. So when we came back, obviously we had the opportunity to take up an area other than research. Like I could go into business, or can go into, let's say, patenting or whatever it could be that entails a pharma world. But I think I was very sure I like my lab. So I decided to go back into R&D. But my work experience was very different from what I would require to run here. So I decided that I would like to go as a scientist into the lab first, not as a promoter and start sitting in conference rooms. And that journey really helped me connect to where I started from and where I am right
That was interesting because so you did basic research, like lab work, in the University of Iowa.
Yes.
We both went to the same university.
Yes.
We used to catch the same bus to go to our apartments and go back to the lab. So you have done research in the US labs and Genentech, US-based company.
Yes.
And then you came to India and started working here as a scientist.
Correct.
When you started as working in the lab here, what were some of the more striking things that you found? Like, oh, this is done very differently.
So there are differences, and I think it's just how we are set up in the two worlds. Okay. In US, it is more of actual research where I work. So we were more into innovation. The lab that I worked in, even in Genentech or the company Endatomics prior to that, we were more into innovating new molecules, more drug discovery. And it was more of biotech or molecular biology. When we came back, I entered a pharma world. My undergrad has been in pharmaceutics and has been my master's. But then there was no practical experience, correct? So there's always, like, I feel theoretical is good, but when you actually work, there's a big difference. So when I started, we are more into generics, right? So there is no innovation in the tools, but there is innovation in how you develop a product for which there's already a reference product in the market, and you want to develop the generic version of it.
Yes.
So you have the opportunity to develop it in a certain way, which makes it more commercially viable also, because it's not about just doing something very, very great in the lab, which does not work on the commercial front.
So you're also looking at the practical application the market penetration of the drug,
Correct.
how well it's going to
Correct.
be accepted by the consumers.
Right.
So you have been at Inventia for how many years? 15, 20?
More than 15 years. 2008, I started in Inventia. So it's been a long time, and
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the journey.
What has changed since you first joined versus where you are today in terms of the
I-
landscape? You have changed.
I have
in
changed
what
as a
way?
person.
In what way? What has been the biggest change?
I think the biggest changes are obviously, as you grow up the ladder, which you want to otherwise also, right? But why when you start in the lab and you work with a lot of people, that's where your interdisciplinary skills improve. You are working in one area, but how that affects the other areas and how it affects business as a whole. That's extremely important. So when I was working as, say, a scientist in the lab for the first 3 4 years, just trying to understand like how development works, right? And just focusing on how many products I've achieved and I have been able to get out of R&D. After that, there is like a lot of more scope of using that experience and tying it into what business requires, like the cost of development, the time of development you take, how is your cost of goods, you know, how effective is your manufacturing process, something that can be done in 3 steps. Have I made it like a little more complicated and taken 5 steps to develop it? Was that required? No. Because we're into Gen. In R&D, you have to always be sure that everything you develop affects the business because everything starts with R&D. So you have to be very, very aware. So I used to interact a lot with the business teams, with the commercial teams. I've also been in a lot of client meetings, to understand how market works. And that knowledge is what we bring back to R&D because that's where everything starts. So now today, I think we've achieved the goal of making very simple products. So even if I have a reference product that has used a very good technology to achieve whatever they have achieved, right, as the product, then I have to match it. I don't necessarily have to copy it. Today, my team has the expertise and the technical capability. You make it in a way that works for us.
Just in terms of a young scientist coming to interview and they're like, I don't know if this is the right fit for me, or I don't know if I want to do this. What do you think they should look at? Like, how should they evaluate? Or should they just go in and try it out? Are there a few things that you can suggest to them in terms of an advice?
So I do little interaction I have. I think they should not overthink, is what I feel, because right now the problem is of plenty in terms of opportunities, right? So they'll have a lot of opportunities in which they can be what's closer to my place, what's closer to my native place, or where I'm close to my family, or what the CTC looks like. All that is fair. It's a fair ask, okay? And nobody's judging you there. But after achieving all that, when you come to work, do you enjoy coming? Right? First is what you're going to work on is something that should interest you. Okay. That's why I said that the person who wants to come for an interview should have a goal set that in 10 years or in 5 years, or even if that's too long,
Just pick something.
just pick
Yeah.
something that I want to work on this because this is what I naturally enjoy. It comes easy to me. And I say pick those simple steps first. Don't try to overachieve.
Go from somewhere that you
Yes, and automatically because it's an industry, you will get exposed to various things when you start on this one small set here. Take it step by step the first 2 3 years, understand what is really appealing to you, and then go on from there. You cannot, I don't think anyone can, and if they can, great. But day one, I don't think everyone knows what to do.
I still don't know what to do. So, how has your experience been being a woman in pharma? And now you are in a senior role.
Yeah.
You are heading a department. Uh, how has your experience been in India? I know you worked for some time. If you can draw a contrast there, that's great. But otherwise, I'm just curious about your experience.
So I get asked this question, and I'm happy to say that I didn't see any difference while working in US or working in Europe. I think what we need to understand is that don't let this thought come to you when you start working that you're a woman. Okay, understand your own capability and understand that when you work, okay, you have to give your best, and that's why I say understand what you're good at and expect to grow in that. But if you think something is not achievable and then you feel that somebody did not give it to you because you didn't fare well, doesn't mean you're giving a biased treatment because you're a woman. There may be cases in industry there are where there can be issues, but I feel let's not start with that when you enter any kind of organization. Give it your best. Today the world is a lot more open to a competent employee. Doesn't matter a male or female. I would just say. I did not experience it. My first employer was a woman. She was a Canadian, extremely capable, and she was wonderful. I think I learned a lot from her, and that's what I feel that when you enter, you pick up from your mentors.
When you're mentoring young professionals,
Yeah.
what is your philosophy? How do you approach mentorship?
Again, I feel mentorship is first understanding the person. I really need to understand the capability and the interest of the individual. I cannot just get someone and say that you start working on this. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way, right? So we have interns in every department in our company. So then, based on their personal choice, they approach the company and say that I want to go. I would like to be in R&D. I would like to be in business. To do my internship for the next 2 months. So we are happy to cater to that.
For an internship program, just the degree certificate tends to be they're just happy that they got the internship in the first place.
Because it's placed as a requirement.
Yes, and but the real value is understanding and looking at getting the opportunity that they are working in the real world, pharma experience you're getting. So make the most of it by asking and being very curious.
Biggest is the life choice that you make, right? There are so many departments, so many areas in the pharma world, right? It's not about just R&D. In R&D, you'll have 12 areas. Then you have a business to it, you have a portfolio development, you have a manufacturing, you have a QC. I can go on and on about the number of opportunities.
So are the interns exposed to all that during the 2 month period?
So it depends on the area they've picked.
I see. So you have worked in academia and now you are in a leadership role. What was the most difficult thing for you when you made that transition?
So when I was in academia, trust me, at that time, and that's something that I think the young scientists now are a lot better is most of them know what they're getting into. When I was in academia, I think I was wired into like finish your 10th, finish your 12th, you do your undergrad, you do your master's, PhD, and you go to work. Yes. I had no idea of how I'm planning or like, okay, this is my interest.
Yes.
So I think I was just continuing.
Autopilot.
Things were just rolling.
Right.
Right. And then it's like once you graduate, you just apply to like these 10 companies. Wherever you get a job, you just start. So I think that is something that now is no more. People are, even from undergrad or grad, people know what lab they want to work into and then they apply in those universities. It's things like that. So I don't think I planned it or thought through it. It was just rolling. I would say because I'm in pharma, I do pharmaceutics.
That's what
Then
you do.
pharmacology just happened to be a place where I was working as a lab assistant and it interested me. So then I did a master's in that. So it just went on. So I wouldn't say that I had planned my life. Okay. So, but then today I feel with all the what do you call it? Experiences, or even you can talk to so many people and understand, like before starting or entering into a profession, you can get a lot of information from experienced people in that field and understand whether that is something that interests you, and then you want to go on. So that's something. What's the challenge was like? I don't know if it was a challenge. I just took it because I didn't really have anything planned. I was like, oh, this looks good, let's take
The next step.
So this is good, let me take it. So when we came back to Inventia, the plan was not that I'm going to head R&D. Okay? That was not like my ultimate plan. My plan was like, okay, I do understand pharma as well when it comes to practical applications. I'm just going to go to the lab. And then things started from there on. So it just, I think it wasn't planned enough. Just let it happen.
Worked out great for
It
you.
worked out great. I'm happy. I but I feel like we should know where we're headed towards when we start something.
Sometimes it can be hard.
It can
Can be like even I think I fall in the same boat as you. You do your bachelor's. What's next? Masters.
be correct.
And
Right?
then, okay, I can apply for a few jobs, but I'm not getting any. What's next? PhD.
Yeah.
So it's not very well thought out.
It's
You're
not.
right, and it's not like I had some amazing skills apart from my education. At
That's
that time,
okay.
I did not develop them enough. Then I was
Right.
like, okay, this is what I'm interested in, and this is what I think I'm good at. I'm just going to go with that. I mean, I guess it's where you fall.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are so clear on where they want. They are very
It's
good at it.
amazing.
And there are people who have zero clue, and we all end up perfectly well.
I think everything works
It
out
all
for
works out.
everyone.
So don't stress out about, oh my god, everybody else has it figured out. I don't know what I'm going to do. It all works out. So
it
no
works
worries.
out for sure. But I feel in today's day and age where there is so much exposure to information, why not use it?
Yes.
Especially because there's a lot of opportunities. First was like, medical, engineering, pharmacy, and that's it. And then you decide where you want to go. Now, if you're starting at a grade 11, you're already dropping subjects and you're deciding where you want to major in. And I'm like, how do you even figure
Yes.
at that young an
Yes.
age? But that's the beauty of having all this information around you.
Literally on your fingertips
Yeah.
in the phone.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and learn anything.
It can
Anytime.
confuse you. as
It can
well.
confuse you too. Exactly.
But at least you start thinking and you're not just following the whole sequence that I did.
Right. So you talked about pharmaceutics
Yeah.
and pharmacology. I come from a cancer biology background. I'm familiar with the terms, but I'm not clear on the differences. Can you tell me the difference between the two?
Pharmaceutics is more about drug development.
Develop. Okay.
Okay. Pharmacology, what I studied or what I worked, the lab can entail a lot of various aspects. It's more about understanding metabolism and how various molecules can work and affect a certain sequence or a certain mechanism in your body. So I worked on calcium channel blockers, something like that. So my experimentation was around if I introduce this, then what is it that I get? So it's understanding more of mechanisms in vivo.
In-
And drug development is where you already know what the drug, how it will work. So how do you formulate it externally, ex vivo, and you give it, and then you just test it. So it's more ex vivo, in vivo, and I think it's a good combination to have because it's good to know that when I develop this product and then I'm going to give it for human consumption, how is it going to behave in the body? And for it to act in a particular manner on a particular organ, can I formulate in a way that is more targeted or is more relevant in getting the required results? So that's how it is.
so what are there's just so much innovation happening in terms of technology and just the advances in just the scientific research and the tools available.
Correct.
What do you think are what are the emerging trends that's going to be completely it will completely shift the industry in a few years? Like,
I feel the way, so there are many, many actually happening, right? If I talk about pure drug development, okay, not in the generic space, but in the innovation space, there's so much throughput screening happening, okay? We have a lot of computational data that is being generated. I think that will help us cut down on the time to reach a certain kind of innovation or discovery. For us, I think we need a lot of data, and not us. In any field, what we need to start doing is compiling as much data and then putting it in some kind of an AI tool and understanding the results so we can achieve our end goal faster instead of going through the whole step one, step two, step three.
which itself can take like how
it takes
many
years.
The target screening and then the validation.
So that computational analysis that has happened now, I think that's going to bring up a big shift. The other thing I am seeing, and which is very interesting, it's not really picked up, but you can see that happening is that you repurpose a drug. Okay, so you may be taking a drug for a certain indication, and now you can repurpose it for a second indication, the same drug. So I think that's beautiful. You don't need to keep on coming up with new and new drugs, and just I think that's a beautiful trend that has started. I personally like it. Um, I think the other bigger thing, since you mentioned cancer, right? Um, it's become rampant, unfortunately. So immunotherapy needs a lot more focus, which has, I think, improved over the last 20 years in how you, because first it was only chemotherapy, correct? And it's just general. But when you make it immunotherapy and you make it more precision medicine, you make it more targeted, which
So
is
the
what
individual becomes.
I think that will be a game changer. And to achieve that, though, I think people have to get into a lot of testing for the researchers to understand genetics, to understand trigger points, and then understand how medicine can be evolved to cater to this rampant growth that is happening. So that's something that I think is the need of the hour. It's picking up too quickly, and we don't have enough data.
And so, in terms of career opportunities, like for the younger generation, kids in school or college who are thinking about all this, what are the kind of skills they need to get so they are ready for these technologies and they're like, I am good, I can get into the industry because I am aware of all this now.
I think there are too many skills to learn and there are too many opportunities, like I said. Earlier it was okay because you would enter a particular framework and then you just build your experience over it. Right now, there is a lot of crosstalk, right, between various industries also. Like you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do this. So in my role, I need to understand engineering and I need to understand how stores works, and it's just like a whole gamut of various experiences. So I don't think you can ever be ready. Okay, but I would say again with the goal that you have set in mind, and as you begin your journey, understand what experience you want to gain on the side also other than your major goal, because you will need to be multi-talented. The area is huge, vast, ever increasing, so you should have the capability to pick it up as it comes and just grow as it happens. You can never be ready, but the future, if you want to say be in pharma, right, you can go much more deeper into discovery, drug discovery, how AI can get into drug discovery. Those tools will help you understand a lot better on how pharma world is going to shape up in future. That is something additional that we can take up other than the basic requirements.
Exciting times.
It is going to be. There's a lot happening.
Lot
There's
happening.
a lot happening.
And so the career wise, job prospects wise,
Yeah.
things are looking very good for the industry.
It will.
So,
It will, and I think it can never die.
so what I'm also hearing from you is there is this idea that once you're out of college, you are done with your studies, right? But with the way our future is looking, you're going to need to be a lifelong learner. You have to keep learning. And so that having that mindset of being curious
Yes.
and always trying to see, oh, this is this new technology. Am I interested? I am. I need to do the course and upskill myself, learn that skill. So as you go along, you have to constantly keep learning.
We will have to. I think that's a beautiful way to put it, Savita. I think we need to do that, and it will become extremely required for every individual because you just cannot do one thing and expect to grow in life, or you accept it that this is where you will be forever. You have to grow. You have to improve your skill set, your knowledge, and that's how it will work because things are changing rapidly. Rapidly. Hopefully, you also work in an organization that allows you to experiment. I think that's very important. It's very interesting because some time back we had this discussion internally with, like, say, my direct reportees, and then we lovely examples that they give, that the junior scientists or scientists who work on the lab, they also come and contribute. Sir, Raj, let's do this. Let's try this experiment. The boss knows that this is not going to work. Okay, but then you're like, you don't want to kill the enthusiasm, you don't want to kill the curiosity, and additional to experiments, what harm can that do? Let them try
And figure it out.
let's just not kill it because we are R&D at the end of the day, right?
You never know what they will uncover.
Yeah, I mean, true, right? So it's just so interesting to listen to these people. So I think they have a voice, the younger generation right now, which I don't think I had. I would always shy away from speaking in a meeting, but they have a voice, they have ideas, and not only work related, they have general also very good ideas. So I think if we listen to them, we try practicing them, it'll just grow us, as an individual, as a company. That's what's
So
required.
we all have a lot to learn from each other.
We always do. Always. I
Yeah.
think you always learn from the other person, and I always tell my team, it's like always bring on board someone who will add value and who knows more than you. Yes. Only then it's going to help.
So, looks like work is keeping you very busy. What do you do for fun?
You actually answered that. I watch Netflix.
That is a great answer. That is a great answer because that's what you need. Netflix is great. This has been so much fun.
It has been.
So I'm so excited for everybody to hear your conversation and thank you.
Thank you, sir. It has been fun.